lecture, we saw what is drag force, drag coefficient, lift force, lift coefficient, and I told that it is a way for you to sweep all the details of the micro details of the flow around an object into a coefficient that's measured and tabulated, so that you don't have to worry about all the nitty-gritty details. In this part, we are going to worry about the nitty-gritty details, and I want to start my discussion by asking you to think about what happens to the flow, which is uniform to begin with. As it approaches the object, it turns, the streamlines turn around the object. At the surface of the object, there is viscous shear exerted by the object on the flow, and we are going to talk about how the flow changes, or what are the characteristics of the flow around an object. That's the topic of this part of the video, where I want to talk about characteristics of the flow around an object. So we will begin our discussion by considering a flat plate, which is a very simple geometry. Sometimes it's called the semi-infinite plate, because at one point it starts and we don't talk about where it ends. We just think that it goes up to infinity. So it's called a semi-infinite plate. Let's say we have a uniform flow that is approaching the plate, and we want to just casually think sequentially what happens to the flow. Until it reaches the plate, let's say the flow is uniform. At that point here, at this point, the flow is decelerated by the plate. At this point, the plate is at rest, so the fluid velocity also has to be 0, because we have what is called as the no-slip condition. That is, there is no difference in velocity between the plate and the fluid that is in contact with the plate. So we call it no-slip condition. So at this point here, the fluid velocity is 0, but if you travel a little bit outwards, you have the flow to be nearly uniform as it was before. So from between here to here, the flow has to quickly go to 0 velocity, and from there on, its velocity is whatever u infinity is. As the flow advances along the plate, the presence of the plate is felt by more and more parts of the flow. Like we saw in internal flow about fully developing or developing region, the velocity profile becomes more and more influenced by viscosity. Okay, so this part here is still uniform, whereas this part here has been influenced by viscosity, and this grows only more. So you will have more and more regions of the flow getting influenced by viscosity, and what you have is really a growth in the region that is influenced by viscosity. That is, more and more segments of the flow are now influenced by the presence of the plate. The presence of the plate is a source of shear stress. That is, at the surface of the plate, the fluid experiences shear stress. The plate also experiences an equal and opposite force. But the idea is this shear stress propagates inwards into the flow in the perpendicular direction, and where out here the velocity is uniform. If you consider du over dy, there is 0 out here, whereas in this portion where you have viscous effects, there is a velocity gradient that is building up. dominant that is building up, and out here the velocity is uniform. We call this inviscid part of the flow, or we call it inviscid region. And this part here, where the velocity is no longer u infinity, it's something lesser because of viscosity, we call this the viscous, or more famously, the boundary layer region. The word boundary layer is very important because it's very often used to describe the layer of, or the region of fluid near a surface where viscous effects dominate. That is, within this part, viscous effects dominate, and outside the boundary layer, this region is inviscid region where inertial effects dominate. That is, there is no viscosity to counter the kinetic energy, whereas in this region viscosity is there to reduce the kinetic energy and dominate the flow physics. Inertial effects dominate. So this part here, the boundary layer, the formation of the boundary layer is the most important effect that takes place when fluid flows on a surface. Now I have made this discussion entirely with a flat plate, but this can be generalized to any shape. So instead of being a flat plate, if this were a sphere, okay, you have the flow coming in, the flow is uniform, far away from the sphere. That is, the flow can be uniform only if it is far away from any object. As soon as you come near the object, the presence of the object will force the fluid to flow around it. Streamlines have to bend and they have to go around the object. On the surface of the sphere, you have a boundary layer development where the flow becomes progressively more viscous. Okay. That is, we always talk about the flow around an object by looking at it from the far, but if you go near the object and observe the velocity profile as a function of position in the radial direction, you will find out that the velocity depends on the radial coordinate, and this region where you have the velocity being a strong function of the distance, that is called the boundary layer region, or boundary layer. The boundary layer, you can think of it as the region where viscosity dominates, and outside the boundary layer inertial effects or inviscid effects dominate. Okay, so now what that makes us ask the question, where exactly is the boundary that demarcates the boundary layer and the inviscid layer? Where to draw this boundary, this line? It's kind of arbitrary in the sense that this velocity gradually goes to the free stream velocity. That is, if you travel in the perpendicular direction a long distance away, very far away from the surface, you will have uniform flow. Like, because of the surface, you are having this velocity to asymptotically or gradually approach the free stream velocity. It will become at some point, let's say 90% of the free stream velocity, 99%, 99.9%, 99.99%, 99.999% and so on. But where exactly does it become exactly equal to u infinity is hard to say. And it is not necessary to say because it might take a long time, but if you are an engineer, you are always interested in practically defining something. You can say that the boundary layer thickness the boundary layer thickness is the distance over which the fluid velocity u over which the fluid velocity u approaches 99% of the free stream velocity, or 99.9% of the free stream velocity, or 90% of the free stream velocity. That's subjective, depends on whether I do it, you do it, or somebody else does it. Boundary layer thickness, this boundary layer thickness delta is defined as the distance over which the fluid velocity practically approaches the free stream velocity. I'll say practically. What is practical? That depends on who is answering the question, but practically approaches the value of the free stream velocity u infinity. Practically approaches the free stream velocity. So this is an important characteristic of the flow of over a surface, is the formation of the boundary layer. The formation of the boundary layer is important because within the boundary layer we know viscous effects can dominate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the flow itself is laminar inside the boundary layer. You could have a laminar flow, you could have a laminar inviscid region, laminar viscous region, you could have a turbulent flow, a turbulent inviscid region, a turbulent outer region. The turbulence and inviscid cannot be mixed together, it's a very delicate thing. You can have a laminar boundary layer or even a turbulent boundary layer depending on how much kinetic energy there is in the flow, or depending on what is the Reynolds number of the flow. So there is all kinds of combinations that are possible, we will see some of them, but the idea is you have Reynolds number determining how much momentum there is in the flow both in the inviscid region and also in the viscous region. So we'll see some of that in the next part.